Hello and welcome to Casual Veteran Gamer. In this Baldur's Gate 3 video we are looking at a Light Cleric build who I have named LightTaving. LightTaving, not his birth name, was sent to a temple of Tempus by his pious parents at a young age. He had a stable upbringing with a rounded education based on the ways of honourable combat as decreed by Tempus, and has been a travelling cleric during his adult life. During his travels, he has met many people, and he has always been impressed by uses of lightning, and rather strangely, tridents. His training as a cleric hasn't allowed him time to become proficient with a trident, however, and his only lightning-based ability is a cantrip learnt through his high elven heritage. While he was helping at the Temple of Tempus in Yatar, a monstrous flying ship appeared overhead, and from which many tentacles sprouted. Before anyone knew what was going on, the bell tower was crushed, and citizens were being transported away. LightTaving was one of the unlucky chosen, and ended up on the nautiloid. So, who do we have here? LightTaving, he's a high elf cleric, and his background is an acolyte, having been brought up by clerics. So as a high elf, his cantrip is Shocking Grasp. Being a high elf also gives him proficiency with perception, and proficiency in longsword, shortsword, longbow and shortbow. Got some dark vision and some immunity to sleep, plus dexterity +2 and intelligence +1 for the ability score bonuses. As for his appearance, he is bald. That means there's nothing to grab onto while fighting. Hair is for the weak. He's a cleric, a light domain cleric. His deity is Tempus. He has chosen Thaumaturgy, Guidance, and Sacred Flame for his cantrips. However, he also does get the light cantrip, being a light cleric, and also Fairy Fire and Burning Hands. As for his skills, the only choices I have are History, Medicine, or Persuasion, and basically leaving out History. Going to his abilities, they're quite spread out. These are not optimal, you must understand. This is not made to be an optimal cleric. It's got strength at 15, I'll get to why it's 15 later, though you might have figured that out by now. Dexterity at 14 because it gives us a maximum armor class. Constitution is 12, I almost never do that. Normally I put it up to 14, but to get extra ability points for other abilities, I've got to make some sacrifices, and I'm just hoping Constitution isn't going to bite me in the ass later. An Intelligence of 12, so he can actually have some chance of using Shocking Grasp and not completely failing at it. Although he is a cleric, the fact that he has got Shocking Grasp from his race means that it does use intelligence, and you can see in the information box here that right at the bottom it says 5 feet melee and then int. That int tells us that intelligence is used for the casting modifier. Wisdom at 14, again some sacrifice being made. Ideally this would be 16 for a cleric. It means he's going to be able to pair 1 spell less. His attack rolls with the spells are going to be 1 less, and his spell save DC is 1 less. But yeah, got to make some sacrifices, and charisma at 8 because I want to have as many points in all the others as possible. So I think that explains everything about the character creation. So yeah, let's get into it. At level 2 there's nothing new to pick, but we do get access to Turn Undead as a use of Channel Divinity, and we also get probably one of my favourite abilities, Radiance of the Dawn. Also, this uses a Channel Divinity charge, and that's it. Nothing to choose. At level 3, there isn't anything to choose, just like level 2, but we do get access to level 2 spells, we get to level 2 spell slots, and because we're a light cleric, we get Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray also. So at level 4, we get to pick 1 new cantrip, but being a light cleric means there's only 1 cantrip available currently, which is Resistance. Then our feat. LightTaving is going to pick up a Weapon Master for 2 reasons. One, he gets Strength +1, so his strength goes up to 16. And secondly, probably more importantly, he gets to pick some weapon proficiencies, and he's had enough time now to practice using a trident. And he gets to pick a few more. So I'd say heavy crossbow is always a good choice because that's the best ranged weapon, or single shot ranged weapon we can have. Now I'm going to give him Greatsword. The other 2 weapon choices are kind of up to you if you're ever going to use this build. So it's not all that important. Maybe hand crossbows in case you want to use those instead of a heavy crossbow. So now we have an even score for our strength. In the next section, we're going to be looking at, hopefully quite quickly, what magic items LightTaving is going to be picking up. Well, the first item he's going to pick up is the Speedy Light Feet, found underneath the windmill, where you find Barkus Root tied up. LightTaving was a good cleric or good person, and saved Councillor Floric from the fire at Walking's Rest. And he will, hopefully, obviously by now, pick up the Sparky Points, which is a trident, and that was the whole point of getting trident proficiency. And when LightTaving attacks someone or deals damage with this weapon, he will gain 2 lightning charges. LightTaving went and saved the strong box that was being transported by the Zentarim, so he's got their trust. And if you go to the trader, you'll find the Jolty Vest. When the wearer takes damage while having lightning charges, the attacker must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or become shocked. Being shocked means that the target cannot take reactions and has disadvantage on ability checks and saving throws using dexterity. Hidden deep in the swamps, surrounded by wood roads and mud mephits, there is a wooden chest which has the sparkle hands, which gives the wearer +1 to strength and dexterity checks as long as they have lightning charges, and also just generally strength saving throws +1. Down in the Underdark, near where you find the Spectator, there is a drow called Dawn, and on his corpse we have the Blast Pendant, which gives Lightning Blast. Your next lightning spell or cantrip deals additional lightning damage equal to your remaining lightning charges. On hit, all of your lightning charges are consumed. He's taking this mostly because there isn't another necklace that could be taken here, and he does have Shocking Grasp to use. Also down in the Underdark, in the Myconid colony, you'll find a hobgoblin named Blurg, and in his lovely shop, he'll have the Lifebringer. When the wearer has lightning charges, they also gain 3 temporary hit points. Near Grimforge, just behind where Stonemason Kith is situated, over here, there is a trapped chest. So we need to disarm and unlock this. And inside, LightTaving will find the real Sparky Sparks wall. What this does, gives you lightning aura, consume 4 lightning charges to create a lightning aura. The blast jolts nearby enemies and possibly deals 1d6 lightning damage. And jolting, the enemy takes 1d4 lightning damage each turn at the beginning of their turn and can't take reactions. Removed upon leaving the lightning aura. So I'm going to take an overview of all of these items. I'm not going to go and get the ring that gives lightning resistance because it doesn't rely on having lightning charges. So there are kind of 2 different sets of equipment here almost, or 2 different types of electrical equipment here. Those that generate lightning charges, of which there are only 2, being Speedy Light Feet. When the wearer dashes, they gain 3 lightning charges. Or Sparky Points, when the wielder deals damage with this weapon, they gain 2 lightning charges. Unfortunately, lightning charges decrease by 1 each turn, which is understandable. So it does mean that if you attack with Sparky Points on 1 turn, you use your action, and assuming you hit, he gains 2 lightning charges, but then at the beginning of his next turn, he's only going to have 1. So anyway, we've got 2 items that generate lightning charges, and then we've got several that use them up or have some sort of benefit while having lightning charges. 3 of them are passive benefits. So the Lifebringer gives 3 temporary hit points. Jolty Vest has some sort of counter shock, so if an enemy hits them, they get a debuff, and the Sparkle Hands has a +1 to strength and dexterity checks. And then there are 2 items that actively use up charges, lightning charges being the real Sparky Sparks Wall. It's a bit of an odd name if I'm honest, with this lightning aura that consumes 4 lightning charges, which is quite a lot to get, and the Blast Pendant, which will consume all the lightning charges that you have, so you don't have to wait for a certain number of lightning charges before you use this. Handily, the Lightning Blast ability is a bonus action. Kind of unfortunately, the Lightning Aura ability is an action to use, so it's very difficult to actually use this, at least in a short battle. To build up 4 lightning charges takes 2 turns of dashes, and then on the 3rd turn to use this. So in all likelihood, you won't be getting to use this very much on LightTaving. We'll come to that later. So let's see these items in action. So before we start the fight here, or before I start a fight, I want to point out, outside of combat, if I use dash, no lightning charges are given. So LightTaving is going to start a fight like anyway, he knows how. Stab someone in the back. By doing that, he does, however, if I go and highlight him, he does gain 2 lightning charges. So if you start the fight with him specifically attacking, you can kind of get an extra lightning charge, because by the time it comes around to his turn, it'll go down to 1 lightning charge. Now, since the enemy is surprised, I'd say it's probably worth using dash to get these lightning charges built up, because using the weapon to attack is good because you do damage to the enemy, but it only builds up 2 lightning charges, whereas the dash builds up 3. And so we can see he's got 3 extra temporary hit points. I would argue that it is best for LightTaving to use a Potion of Haste to get the maximum use out of the boots. So it's his turn now, and the reason for that is that we can build up lightning charges much more quickly and use them in the same turn that we build them up. Because if I want to go and use the real Sparky Sparks Wall, I've got to have at least 4 lightning charges. Also, this helps me get into position much more quickly. So if we go to common, here we are, Lightning Aura, takes an action to cast. We can see that these 4 reanimated corpses are jolted. Some of them took damage when they were jolted because they failed a dexterity saving throw. And so now we can walk around and try and cause enemies to take the damage. However, it does seem that the whole thing about being jolted, right, and can't take reactions isn't really working, because the reanimated corpse just took an opportunity attack against LightTaving here. If we carry on moving, we'll see they'll take opportunity attacks also. So you have to be careful about where you stand. I've actually got them all jolted, so hopefully on their turns we'll see Yeah, he took some damage because he started his turn within the jolted aura. I'm also hoping we'll see the armor come into effect as well. They're all missing because his armor class is, well, relatively high for them. And if he can keep that up, he'll be able to deal damage to these corpses over several turns, but he is going to turn lethargic quite soon. Oh, there's the shocked condition. Cannot take reactions and has disadvantage on ability checks and saving throws using dexterity, which is a bit different from jolted, but there is an overlap, the whole not being able to take reactions. So it's his turn again. He doesn't have any lightning charges and also only has one action to turn again. So we can start building lightning charges. We'll get some temporary hit points back. But without the potion of haste, it is quite difficult for LightTaving to build up these charges. But he loves it though. He loves all this electrical equipment. He loves using a trident. Look at him in his stance there. He loves having a decent armor class, 18. If we combine the shield with a different set of armor, say with Yankee half-plate, this would be up to 20, which is a very good armor class to have. Although I didn't record it, LightTaving actually got an opportunity attack against one of the reanimated corpses. Well, he did, because he's got 3 lightning charges. And just because I want to see it work. Oh, I also want to point out that Lightning Blast and Lightning Aura can only be used once per long rest, which is a bit disappointing because I'd quite like to use Lightning Blast right now just to show you that it works with Shock and Grasp. There we are, I don't have it. Don't forget that LightTaving is still a cleric. He is still a Light Cleric. And in fact, he does love good old Radiance of the Dawn. He should have used it earlier. He got a bit carried away with his trident here. So perhaps instead he'll go with this. Unfortunately, Novice Garmor is a bear heart, so he's resistant to all damage apart from psychic damage. So Shock and Grasp does also work with lightning charges themselves, though it's a bit messed up. It's just 1 lightning damage for having a lightning charge. That does say there was a damage roll of 2. We can ignore that. I saw that while recording a previous video, in fact. Now, having collected all of this equipment, and as I previously mentioned, you don't have to focus on this. He is still a Light Cleric, still dishing out damage, still able to heal with his bonus action, still has Warding Flare and all the great spells that clerics come with. So that's most of what LightTaving can do. Let's not forget that he does have Rush Attack with this trident, which worked out quite nicely there. I'll easily admit that having a Light Cleric isn't the most efficient use of all of these items. Thief will actually do particularly well, especially if they took medium armor proficiency to get the shield going and the medium armor there, because with their bonus actions they can dash every turn and get all the bonuses, or a barbarian that's an Elkhart, and while raging they get dash as a bonus action. But LightTaving here, he is happy with his lot in life. He has his trident, he's built upon his elven heritage. Apart from just having Shock and Grasp, he now has loads of items that deal lightning damage. So I'm finally going to try and get Lightning Blast to work. Use Shock and Grasp. There we are, let's look at that damage. So we've got an 8 and 1d8, that was like top notch, perfect. 1 from having lightning charges, and then 4 lightning damage from Lightning Blast, as it says here, instead of Lightning Blast. And that's because I had 4 lightning charges. So let me know what you think of LightTaving, whether you would even ever consider taking him. What changes would you make? Would you actually make a thief instead? If you've made it this far, please do consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.